Okay. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me on this lovely, cold December evening. I hope everyone had the best Christmas. I can't believe it's been and gone. Like, I literally feel like I've blinked and this year's disappeared and it's crazy. Um, who type in the chat bar who is feeling stuffed, bloated, and ready for a bit of a reset come 2026. I know I certainly am. I didn't go wild this year at the Christmas buffet, but I definitely still feel like I could do with a bit of a spring clean. Let's put it that way. So let me know if you feel like me in the chat that you're ready for a bit of a blow out the cobwebs, start afresh in the new year. So, tonight I want to share with you some key information on gut health, really, because it is the foundation of everything in your body, in your health. And if we don't have good gut health, we don't have good anything health. And back in, gosh, I don't even know when it was, many, many years ago, the godfather of all medicine basically said, all disease begins in the gut. And he was absolutely right. His name was Hippocrates. So, just a little bit about myself. My name is Sarah Law. I'm a functional health coach and nutritionist. I'm also a vice president with Arbonne, which is a brand that I've been partnered with, a wellness brand I've been partnered with for the last 16 and a half years of my life. And I have a huge passion for helping women in particular, and a few select men, really thrive and know how to look after their bodies for life. Because the reality is, we are not taught anything about our bodies, really, are we? We go to school and we learn things like algebra, but we don't get taught how our own body actually functions. And our biggest gift is health. And if you asked anyone who has been through a challenging time with their health, what the one thing they would wish for would be, it would be health. And I've been there myself, where I basically ended up with long COVID for 3 years and didn't have my health. And it was the one thing that I wished for every single day of my life. So I think it's one of the things that we often take for granted is that everything's just fine. And the reality is, there could be things bubbling under the surface that we don't know about. And the problem with the human body is that we can't, get a little magnifying glass and look inside and just see what's going on. We just go on feelings, really, unless we're someone who deep dives and does lots of testing and things like that. But sometimes you don't necessarily listen to the little whispers, and that was definitely me. There'd been a few whispers that had probably been creeping up for years, but I'd just kind of been like, oh, it's normal to feel a bit tired, it's normal to get bloated, it's normal for this, normal for that. So I want to ask you, are you listening to the whispers? Are you listening to the energy slumps in the afternoon, the finding it hard to get out of bed without 3 coffees in the morning, the bloating after you eat, the list of foods that you now can't tolerate getting longer and longer, the brain fog, the mood swings? Are you listening to those whispers? Because if not, I can promise you they will at some point become screams. And it's so much easier to deal with them when they're whispers than when they become screams. Having been there myself and spending 3 years of my life trying to figure out what was going on with my body, spending thousands upon thousands of pounds trying to rectify my health, I can tell you it wasn't fun. It taught me a lot, but it wasn't fun. And so, what I want you to do is to go into 2026 with a completely new attitude about your health and your body. And I want you to remember that you have one body for life, it is your home for life. And it's so easy to take it for granted and just expect your body to do everything for you. Your body is miraculous. It does things without you even thinking. Your lungs, you breathe without really thinking. Your heart beats without you doing anything. But if you take all that for granted for too long, there will come a point where things don't happen as you want them to. And then we go, what happened? And it's like, well, there were whispers along the way. We just chose to ignore them. So this is your sign to make 2026 the year that health is a number one priority. Because when you have health, you have everything. When you don't have health, you have nothing. So let's talk about gut health, if I can get this to work. So our gut is actually not just what we think it is. We often think of it as just being like our stomach, but it actually runs from our mouth right down to our butthole. We're like one big donut, essentially. One big hole of, you know, yeah, where things go in and basically absorb and go out. And that's how it should work. But within our actual intestines, we have what we call a microbiome. Now, we actually have a microbiome not just in the intestines, we have it everywhere. We have it in any kind of cavity that we've got, like our mouth, our nose, our ears, our eyes, on our skin. We have a microbiome everywhere, but we really want to talk about the gut microbiome because it's so crucial for your long-term health. So, we actually have trillions upon trillions of bacteria living in our gut, and those bacteria are crucial for your health. I want you to think of your gut like a garden. So, in a beautiful garden, you should have lots of different types of flowers. That's what makes the garden really beautiful, right? So, you've got all these different species and varieties of flowers and different colors of flowers. And you might have a few weeds that lurk around the edge, and that's fine. You can live with those. But what would happen to your garden if you decided not to feed the flowers, not water them, and you just started feeding the weeds? Your garden would probably not look particularly pretty anymore, and you'd have more weeds than flowers. And then you'd run into issues. And your gut is exactly like that. All of the different flowers are your microbiome, the diversity of bacteria within your gut, which is crucial because these different bacteria do lots of different things. So we have bacteria that regulate our blood sugar. We have bacteria that can cause us to extract more calories from food if they are out of balance. We have bacteria that help us break down and eliminate estrogen. We have bacteria that produce vitamins like vitamin B12 for us. We have bacteria that help us detox. We have our entire almost immune system within our gut. So to say it's important is probably playing it down slightly. And so what we need to think about is this diversity of all these different type of bacteria are so crucial. And if you have a few weeds lurking around the edge, your body's okay, it can deal with that. But if you start feeding your weeds in your gut and you kind of forget about the flowers, you're going to run into issues because you're going to get overgrowths of bacteria that we don't want in the gut, overgrowths of ones that are good for us, but not in excess, viruses, fungus, yeast. We will have all these things growing in the gut that don't really belong there and then causing issues. And they can cause a lot of issues when they're out of balance. They can cause acne, they can cause depression, anxiety, mood swings, brain fog, weight gain, insulin resistance. They can cause hormone imbalances so much. So we have to think about the gut as the hub of health. And it's very rare that, let's say, I don't know, you are struggling with anxiety, that you'd go to the doctors and they'd go, let's have a look at your gut health. But that's how we should be thinking about these issues because the body is a system of systems and all of those systems communicate. And I always say to people, what happens in the gut doesn't stay in the gut. It's not like Vegas. What happens in the gut translates throughout the entire system because when we have inflammation going on in the gut, and endotoxins that are being released from bacteria that shouldn't be there, that can escape into the bloodstream and deposit around our system, or our body, should I say, and cause widespread inflammation. And it's actually proven in research that with endometriosis, there is this issue where we have bacterial imbalances within the gut. These bacteria that shouldn't really be residing in the gut produce what we call lipopolysaccharides, which are endotoxins, that then escape through the gut lining and deposit in the peritoneal cavity. They then drive up inflammation by docking onto these TLR4 receptors. Then the immune system goes chaotic. That then forms lesions, which drives estrogen up. And then we get stuck in this estrogen dominance picture. So can you see how crucial your gut actually is? So on top of that, we actually have our gut lining. So our gut lining should be kind of solid. So think of it a bit like a bin bag. I love a good analogy. So if you think of your bin bag at home, if you put all of your rubbish into the bin, it should stay there, right? All of the crap basically stays in the bin bag. But what happens if you poke a bit of glass in there? You pop a broken bit of glass into your bin bag. Someone type in the chat what's going to happen to your bin bag. Tell me what is going to happen. You're probably going to get a hole in the bin bag, right? And then bin juice is going to leak out all over your floor and create a load of mess. So your gut lining is really similar to that. Your gut lining is only one cell thick. And it is there for a reason because 70 to 80% of your immune system is located within that mucosal layer in the gut lining for good reason. It's your entry point to the outside world. Your gut just think how many times you're eating and breathing and drinking. Who's to say there's not parasites and bacteria and all kinds of stuff in what you're eating? So of course your immune system is there to ensure that anything that goes into the gut is not getting through and causing mass chaos. So your immune system is there for good reason to basically go on to red alert if it starts seeing things that shouldn't come through the gut lining come through the gut lining. You should absorb nutrients through there, but you shouldn't have big undigested proteins escaping through the gut lining. So when that bin bag is holy, when you're doing lots of things that basically poke holes in the bin bag and it doesn't have time for those cells to repair again, we get something called leaky gut. And when we have that leaky gut, it's like the holes in the bin bag. And that means food particles, endotoxins from bad bacteria, viruses, etc., can escape through the gut lining and then into the bloodstream. So the immune system being there goes, whoa, 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 this should not be coming through, Mayday, and goes into red alert mode for good reason. And that's what leads to things like autoimmune conditions. So we have to take care of that gut lining. And unfortunately, in modern day living, there are many, many things that we're doing on a daily basis that are kind of wrecking our gut lining. The good thing with it being one cell thick, it can repair quickly if you give it time, if you give it rest. So I always say to people, think of it like walking on a broken leg. If you have a broken leg and you keep walking on it every single day, how long will it take to heal? A really long time. But if you have a broken leg and you put the boot on and you sit down and you rest it, then you do your rehab, it heals. And then you can go out and live your life pretty normally as long as you're mindful. Your gut is the same. You need these periods of digestive rest where you're not hammering it 24/7. And that doesn't mean that you have to give up all of your favorite foods and the things that, damage or maybe cause a few imbalances. It's about having the balance of everything. But you do need these periods where you're like, right, I'm really going to focus on my gut health now and just going to take a step back from the things that have been doing a bit of damage. So post Christmas is such a good time to do that because, of course, Christmas is Christmas. We should all enjoy Christmas, and that involves food, eating, drinking, being merry, right? So, what better time to have a reset than after Christmas when you've done a bit of damage? Now's the time to put the boot on, sit down, do the rehab, let your gut heal itself, get everything back in check, and then go out and live your life again. So, here is how hormones come into the picture. Now, this is relevant to men or women because men have estrogen too, as well as females. And all women have testosterone and we all have hormones basically. So I think we often think of like hormones just being a female thing and it's like, no, 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 no. It's for all of us. But here's what happens. So hormones affect the gut and the gut affects hormones. So when we have a healthy microbiome, what basically happens is when we've used estrogen, it has to be broken down by the liver. And then what happens is when we've broken it down, we neutralize it and it gets dumped into bile, which is created in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. It then gets dumped into the gut. So bile will basically squirt, sounds disgusting, but it will squirt like a squirty gun when you eat. It will squirt bile into your gut. And that bile is crucial for many, many processes. It is an antimicrobial, so it keeps things in check in the gut. It is a lubricant, so it helps you poop. It is a emulsifier, so it breaks down fats, which means you can absorb fat-soluble nutrients like vitamins A, D, E, and K. But it's also a detoxifier, and it helps you get rid of your hormones. So when bile dumps into the gut, it takes with it estrogen and toxins. So if you have a healthy microbiome, then what should happen is that the gut packages up that estrogen, those toxins, and basically they go down the toilet bowl. Now, if you have an unhealthy microbiome, what happens is there's an enzyme that can be released from bacteria in the gut that allows that estrogen and those toxins to recirculate back into your system. That is not what we want. When hormones have been used, they need to be gotten out of the body. And of course, toxins, we don't want a backlog of toxins just sitting in our system. So the things that we need to think about here are number one, our liver. Yes, it does its job without us having to think, but that doesn't mean it doesn't need support. So again, we need to think about supporting our liver with greens and choline and B vitamins and amino acids and all the things that our liver needs for proper detoxification. Bile needs supporting, and unfortunately for females, bile flow can get very, very sluggish through high estrogen and low estrogen. And we need to think about that gut microbiome. Absolutely crucial. Now, here's the kicker. For females in particular, hormones can affect the gut because when hormones shift, they can really impact how our gut functions. So again, like I just mentioned, if you've got high estrogen and it really impacts your bile flow, so you get thick, sludgy bile, think of it like trying to squirt toothpaste out of a squirty gun. It doesn't really work. Then you're going to get a backlog, and that can impact your digestion because you're not getting that bile flowing into the gut. You're not getting the antimicrobial action that it offers. So when you've got high estrogen, it's going to cause that. When you've got low estrogen, you can also get kind of sluggish bile. So you're not getting that dump of bile into the gut. And also, the other kind of part to this is for females, as they go through menopause and they lose hormones, it impacts the diversity of our microbiome. So we have less flowers and it impacts the integrity of the gut lining. So it means you've got a thinner bin bag. You're more likely to poke holes. So what that essentially means is as we age, we need to take more care of these things, not less. And I always say to people, you can live in the healthiest, happiest body of your life in your 40s and beyond, but you can't do what you did at 20 and expect to get the same results because your body is not the same. So you have to treat it differently. It's like having a 45-year-old car that you've driven for 45 years or a brand new car that's driven off a forecourt. They can both be just as good as each other, but the 45-year-old car needs more love, more attention, more MOTing than the brand new car. So think of your body exactly the same. So, signs of an unhealthy gut, of course, digestive issues. So, if you are struggling with bloating after eating, if you find that you're getting more and more food intolerances and sensitivities to foods, that's not normal. You shouldn't be having that. Not going to the bathroom daily. If you are like, oh, I'm not constipated, I go every other day, you're constipated. 1 to 3 bowel movements a day is normal. And it should be what we'd call a number 4 on the Bristol stool chart. So if you go and Google or chat GPT, show me the Bristol stool chart. That's what you should see when you go to the bathroom. You shouldn't see food in there. It shouldn't be a strain. It shouldn't be sloppy. I talk about poo a lot, basically, with my clients. So other signs of an unhealthy gut, skin problems. If you are suffering with things like eczema, psoriasis, hives, itching, rashing, acne, they can all be signs of poor gut health. Weight changes, like I mentioned, we have bacteria that help regulate our blood sugar and insulin release. So if we have imbalances there, we're going to see issues with our weight. Sleep issues, that can impact again our blood sugar when our gut is out of balance, autoimmune diseases, mental health problems. All of those are signs of an unhealthy gut. Signs of a healthy gut, regular pain-free bowel movements, consistent energy throughout the day, normal amounts of gas or bloating. You should, fart maybe a couple of times a day, but it shouldn't be like a stink bomb every 2 minutes. Healthy bowel transit time, mental clarity, not brain fog and anxiety, and healthy reactions to food and stress. So you shouldn't have a laundry list of foods that you cannot eat. So, how can you improve your gut health through your diet? If there's just one thing that you take from this, make it this. This little slide here. A Mediterranean style diet is probably going to be the best that you can have for your gut, full of varieties of different foods. So you want different types of fibers, different polyphenols, different antioxidants. So I want you to think to yourself, how often do you diversify your diet? Or are you someone who is a creature of habit where you eat the kind of same foods on rotation because it's convenient, it's comfortable, it's easy, and you like them? We're all culprits of it, aren't we? It's very easy to go, oh, I really like that, so I'm going to have that for breakfast 6 days a week. I really like that, so I'm going to have that for lunch, and I'm going to batch cook it for the entire week. So we just need to think if we can diversify our diet a bit, that's going to add more different fibers and antioxidants and things that our gut bacteria love. Fiber feeds our good bacteria. Now, if you find that fiber is a real issue for you, you get bloated, gassy, digestive cramps, all things like that, that's a surefire sign that there's underlying issues in your gut that need rectifying. So fiber is crucial. There are times for a low fiber diet if you're having a lot of issues, but it's not a long-term solution. It's just for a period to work on what's actually going on under the surface. Antioxidants and polyphenol rich foods. So things like berries, apple peels, all different colored veggies. They are loaded with antioxidants, greens. Your gut and your liver love them. That feeds those good bacteria that basically produce short chain fatty acids, which are very anti-inflammatory. They keep your gut lining in check. They're amazing for your gut. Fermented foods. So things like kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, real kombucha, they are all loaded with probiotics, pre and probiotics. So prebiotic foods. So again, things like garlic, leeks, they're loaded with prebiotics, which think of that like the manure for your good bacteria. Probiotics, so probiotic foods. Yogurt will have probiotics in. Like I mentioned, for fermented foods will have some probiotics in. And obviously, you can supplement with those things. Now, a little word of caution around that. There are hundreds of probiotics on the shelves. The question is, do you know what ones you need? Because you might be actually putting something in that your body doesn't need or overfeeding something. Or you might be using a poor quality probiotic that isn't really doing much because it's not shelf stable and doesn't even reach the digestive tract. Limit processed foods and refined sugars. So I want you to think, how often are you eating things that are either grown in the ground or have come from a high quality animal and are whole food ingredients compared to something that's come from a packet? And diet variation, like I mentioned, trying to diversify your diet. So if there's just one thing you take from this, just think, do you know what? I'm going to introduce a different vegetable or a different protein source or a different fruit for the week and just keep doing that. And before you know it, you'll have diversified your diet a bit. So other things that you can think about, lifestyle is so crucial when it comes to your gut, because some of the biggest things that will actually ruin your gut are stress and lack of sleep. So, we can do all of the diet interventions in the world. If we're stressed to the high heavens and we're not actually addressing that, we're going to run into issues, because stress will essentially pull the cells of the gut lining apart and cause that leaky bin bag. Lack of sleep will really mess with your gut. It will mess with your insulin and all the things that can then go on to impact the gut. So honoring your sleep routines. And I know it's hard over Christmas and the festive season. We've all been up late and, kind of got out of whack with our circadian rhythm. But January is such a great time to get back into good sleep routines, really honoring your sleep and making sure that you aren't staring at screens late at night and, scrolling on your phone at night and getting blue light in your eyes, getting daylight on your skin in the mornings, managing your stress well, looking at your toxins in your products that you're using in your house and on your skin. They can all impact your gut. Getting outside, getting into nature, because there are lots of bacteria out there that when we are exposed to them actually help our gut and our body function. Intermittent fasting, so giving your body periods of rest, giving your gut rest. The problem with modern day living is it is so easy to have food on hand 24/7. And I want you to think, how often do you snack? Because the reality is, if you're snacking a lot, you are messing your gut microbiome up. We have something called a migrating motor complex in the small intestine, because in the small intestine, we shouldn't have loads of bacteria in there. And the migrating motor complex sweeps those bacteria back down into the large intestine. But it takes a good couple of hours, maybe 3 hours, to finish its job. So if you keep snacking, it never has time to fully do its job. And that means you're going to get a migration of bacteria into your small intestine where they shouldn't be and get a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Not something that you want, not fun, because that's where you absorb your nutrients. You end up nutrient depleted and with severe bloating and lots of issues. Staying hydrated. Every single cell in our body needs hydration to function properly. So there's lots of things outside of your diet that need to be thought about when it comes to your gut health. So, just want to run you through a couple of products that we actually offer within Arbonne that can be great little powerhouses to help you with your gut health, and a couple of other things on top of that too. So, Arbonne do a brilliant product called Gut Health, Digestion and Microbiome Support, the longest name in the world. I don't know who ever came up with the name, but what it actually does is it's a 3-in-1. It's an absolute powerhouse. So it's 3 different things in one. It's got our prebiotics, which are those foods for the good bacteria, probiotics, which are the good bacteria, and they're a spore-based probiotic. And I love spore-based probiotics because they kind of are quite neutral. They don't overfeed one strain of bacteria. They're not going to feed a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth either. And they're heat stable, which means they actually reach your digestive tract where they should go. It's also got digestive enzymes in there, which are the things that help you break down your food, because we need to break down food to absorb the nutrients from it. It's also got ginger in there and chamomile and loads of calming ingredients for your digestion. The Green Synergy Elixir is the gut health and microbiome support coupled with 12 different fruits and veggies in a dehydrated form. So you're getting a massive whack of antioxidants and polyphenols, along with a collagen support supplement. So hyaluronic acid, biotin, vitamin C, gotu kola, all the things that support microcirculation and support collagen, which is also a crucial part of gut health. The Be Well Superfood Greens is 36 different fruits and veggies in dehydrated form. So again, a massive whack of antioxidants, polyphenols, things that support the liver and the gut. The Feel Fit Simply One protein powder is amazing because it's loaded with nutrients alongside being a plant-based protein powder that actually tastes good. And again, like I mentioned, your liver needs amino acids. Your gut also needs amino acids because every single cell in your body is made from protein. So if you're not giving your body enough protein, what's it going to make the building blocks from? The biotic sticks. So these are another type of spore-based probiotic. They are a different version, so a different strain called Bacillus subtilis, which is also very good for the immune system. And those ones are like a little sherbet fizz stick. So you pour them onto your tongue. Great for kids from ages 4 and up. So they're an absolute win. And then other things that you can do, things like L-glutamine. So L-glutamine is kind of like glue that seals up the gut lining. We actually do have some L-glutamine in another product called CleanTox Inner Cleanse. Omega-3 fatty acids, so making sure that you're getting enough omega-3s in your diet. So oily fish, supplementing with a high quality omega if needed. And then apple cider vinegar is an absolute win for your gut health as well. It will help your body produce stomach acid, which is crucial because that's the thing that keeps everything in check in your gut and stops bacterial overgrowth happening and parasites taking hold. It also is really good for blood sugar regulation as well. So it's an absolute win. So a little shot of apple cider vinegar in some water before your meals can work wonders. So for those of you that are really ready to make a change in 2026, we offer something called the Thrive Program. And this is kind of like the ultimate reset. So when you join the Thrive program, the way that you join is by buying a bundle of Arbonne supplements. So that can be tailored to your specific needs. It could be the probiotics, the greens, the protein powder. We've got mushroom powders. We've got ashwagandha, L-theanine. We've got so many different supplements. So it can be tailored specifically to what you need. And then what happens is you get lifetime access to the Thrive app, which you can see on this screen, which is loaded with recipes, meal plans, shopping lists, cheat sheets, everything you would need to make healthy simple and take the guesswork out of it and also take the deprivation out of being healthy. Because with all the recipes and things, it will help you create long lasting change. I am a big believer in the fact that when you learn to make foods that you love out of better quality ingredients, your life will change forever. And that's what you get access to, as well as on-demand workouts. There is a full lean muscle building program in there. There are on-demand at-home workouts that you can do. We actually created this. It was myself, 2 doctors, a mindset coach, and a personal trainer. So the app has everything in it: mindset support, meditations, breathwork, everything from a nervous system perspective, loads of education around hormones, perimenopause, gut health, toxicity, liver health. And a community. So you will have a whole community of people around you that are going to be there doing it with you to help you stay on track. And you get lifetime access to the Thrive app. It's not like, you get it for 30 days and then we take it off you. It's like, nope, this is yours forever. This is yours forever. And the only investment for you is a bundle of the products. And then we give you everything else for free. We are going to be leading a group of people through the program starting on the 5th of January and another one on the 19th of January. So if you want to get involved and become one of those people and get on track for less than you're probably spending on coffee every month, then let us know and we will get you set up and on the Thrive program with us. So here's just a few testimonials from some of our clients. There have been hundreds. We've had thousands, over 3,000 people go through the Thrive program over the last, I'm going to say 4 years. And the results that we get are insane. And it really helps people make significant changes that are forever rather than doing, the January quick fix that fades in February. So that is everything I wanted to share with you today. If anyone has any questions, let me just see, because my laptop's probably going to die in a second. Ooh. But yeah, if anyone has a quick question or two, please fire away. And then I will sign off. Louise is ready. Love it. Amazing. Right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. If anyone has any questions, please speak to whoever invited you onto the call today, and they'll be able to help you get set up and ready on the program. And we will look forward to welcoming you with open arms and helping you thrive in 2026. Bye, everyone.